Yeah, let's see. Recording. Let everybody know they're being recorded. Okay, now we're recording. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Nightmare Road. I, of course, am your host, Deacon, here with our special guest host, Laura Slasher. Yeah, I know. This is like round two. We had done this whole show an hour. It was awesome. People cried. People cheered. I jumped in the air and froze midair because I was just like there and people were carrying me on their shoulders, but too bad. So now we're going to do part two of this. Well, anyway, so today's topic is not just on serial killers. Yeah, I feel like I have deja vu. Not just on serial, or I can see the future. Weird. Not just on serial killers, but also the women that just loved these guys. They went straight to it. Yeah, it is nasty. Let's just start the way we.
We're talking about it again.
Yeah, it was bad enough the first time, but here we go for the second time. So we started it off with the very handsome Richard Ramirez, who Richard Ramirez looked like. Imagine the lady from the Aunt Jemima bottle, but she has AIDS. And now you've taken a picture of it and her teeth melted off. And now you took a picture of her. That's Richard Ramirez. Damn, his teeth were so gross.
It was bad. They were bad. Like, good for him. They fixed them. But not really, because why would they do that?
Yeah, they gave him new teeth. Is he still alive or is he dead?
I'm pretty sure he's dead. He had something wrong. Yeah, he had something wrong with him. Good. Yeah. Well, he was able to get married and everything.
Yeah, he got married. But this guy, okay, so let's kind of paint the picture here. It's almost like it. You know how in the dating shows they're like, "Hey, everybody!" And remember the dating show Killer? Anyway, it's like when some guy walks into the stage, it's like da, 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 and it's like contestant number one. This man likes walking through the beach. He owns a blah blah blah. He lives in a condo in whatever the hell it is. Now imagine the same thing with Richard Ramirez. Like he walks into the room, the women are waiting. And then he's like, "This is Richard Ramirez," and
he likes
what has he accomplished?
Stab children and hang them from a pipe.
Fuck. Jeez.
That's what he did.
With her own
shirt.
What was the story behind that?
Oh my God. Her and her little brother were looking for a lost dollar bill. And he's like, "Come to this basement. It's here." And because she's a kid, she's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
You go. He strangles her, beats her, rapes her, and then stabs her, and then hangs her. Like you couldn't just stop. Like, jeez.
No, it's the impulse control.
Like you gotta do all of them.
And then the crazy thing was that a lot of these people. Okay, so when it comes to serial killers, so the whole serial killer thing, like serial killers, people think that it started off like in the 1900s or even the Victorian age, like Jack the Ripper. Serial killers have been around since the 1400s. Like you can find like old stories of people that were just killing, in a way where there's like the cooling period and they started again. There was a famous. Okay, so anyways, what I'm getting at is, so they classified serial killers in two categories. They say, are you the vampire or are you the werewolf? So people are like, what does that mean? The vampire is calculated. He commits the crime. He exits and it's neat. He did it, with precision. He did all those kind of things and then he's gone. The werewolf is, a werewolf. He's like a dog. There's blood everywhere. It's messy. It was done like spontaneous. There was no thought. There was no afterthought. And it was just madness. And then he leaves. So Richard Ramirez was pretty much the werewolf.
Yeah. He just,
And
it was just random. Like he would just go and like jiggle doorknobs. Like this one,
yeah,
because it's open.
that is so crazy. And that was the craziest part is when you look at him and they're like, what motivated him to commit the crimes? Nothing.
That was it.
Not insane. Walked up to a door, tried it. If it was locked, he'd just move on. And I think they had footage of him from like a security camera where it shows him walking through the neighborhood, and he walks up and tries a door, and it's not like he was like rats. He walks up and he's just like do 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 do. It's the way he had this very like weird kind of like creepy walk, and it was almost like he was going door to door selling you vacuum cleaners.
Salesman, except
the way he was. Yeah, it's salesman. Yeah, he was. Yeah, it really sucks. So yeah.
Jeez.
And his damn teeth. Those damn jagged little teeth.
I'm gonna talk about this
again, but it looks like he had like bottle rot in his teeth. You almost want to ask him, like, if I was a person interviewing him, I would sit him down and I would look at him and be like, when did you stop sucking on your binky, hooker? You know. But yeah, so anyway, committed horrible crimes. One of the crimes was he went. Are you okay?
No.
Me neither. No one's okay.
Yeah, well, that's why we're here. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, we're here in this stupid show. So, right, he goes and he climbs through a window. I think he climbed through a window. He slipped it. Too. Yeah, he was over there just trying to catch a little single mom butt, just looking through. Looking as if this window had all the answers to his problems while his pants were around his ankles. Yeah, so he slit this old lady's throat so hard, he almost separated her head from her body like 2 and 3 from 5. Just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mathematical chance. So, yeah, so this handsome individual, right?
Oh, yeah.
Gets caught. So handsome. Gets caught. You ever seen those mannequins like at the department store? They're like, do you ever watch the movie Napoleon Dynamite?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the wig they get Pedro? It looks like somebody accidentally dropped one of those mannequins off a truck and landed in the highway, and it just like rolled around and got all messed up, and then somebody just stuck a wig on it. And there you go. Vote for Ramirez.
Yeah, that's him.
So yeah. Yeah, so that was it. So this handsome man, right, goes to jail, goes to prison, and then his mugshot gets released, and you have the women just lining up to talk to him and wanting him.
His wife fell in love, and they flashed his 3 teeth on the TV.
Oh, they had them like he smiled like. And you see like little chunks of things in there. It looks like somebody was eating black crayons.
Yeah.
And then they got like beat severely outside of a bar. And somebody just booted him right in the face. Anyway, and then like the second mugshot was just his little teeth, just like his little.
Oh, God, don't call them little. It makes it just so much worse.
The little, because they were just because there was nothing there. It was just like jagged rocks. It was his teeth.
That's all I got like that.
Yeah, that's a bit. Yeah, literally chewing on rocks. The pipe. His teeth look like shards of glass.
God, they were every direction, all of them.
Yeah, it was crazy. He looked like the world's worst jack-o'-lantern.
Oh my God, or the best.
or the best. Yeah, if it hangs you by your shirt. So this guy, right? He goes to prison. These women are just lining up, wanting to meet. You would think that someone famous got incarcerated. Who's somebody that was famous that I would say? It's like David Hasselhoff got put in prison, and
That's who you'd line up for.
yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
because I would hope that the car that he used to drive was also locked up in there with him. I'm like, oh, can I sit in Kit? Um, so,
All right.
so
I
anyway,
love bikes.
so yeah, these women were lining up. These women were sending him love letters. I think one of the ladies like mailed or tried to mail her panties.
He got a lot of nude pictures. He got a lot of pictures of women in lingerie. Some just wearing nothing but jewelry. Everything else just out there. He got a lot of pictures in the mail. Pictures, letters, everything.
Yeah, he got all kinds of different things. Certain letters rubbed in certain areas. Um,
I mean,
yeah. So
who found that out? How did they find that out?
I don't know. That's what the description said. It was almost like
everything. What's going on?
It's like the prison guards behaved as if they were like a drug dealer buying cocaine. They're like,
Oh, jeez.
yep,
Licking all the envelopes.
yep.
Ugh.
It tastes just like the envelope too, like when you're trying to seal it.
All right. I mean, those would be the type to send letters to serve.
Yeah, taste this. Anyway, so yeah, behaving as if you were like in a chef's competition, and they're like, taste this.
You have
to. So anyway, so that's him, right? So the women loved him. At some point, I think that he formed like an actual relationship with a woman, and she had a 12-year-old daughter that went to go visit him, and he told her to like dress like more appropriately because the inmates, he said, these filthy inmates are staring at you, says the guy that stabbed a child to death and violated her body.
Yeah.
And did other things too. Like it wasn't just, but that's immediately what caught my attention was the fact that he did that to the little girl. Yeah. This person is getting letters. And then there's guys sitting at home who can't get a date, and they're like, "What's wrong with me?"
Like why? Like why would you? Like what is going? I don't get it. Like, okay, so like I read a lot of dark romance, and that they're psychos, like the main characters, but it's not real. There we go. Okay, I'm done. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But I see what you're saying. So, but like you said, the dark romance, the psychotic. But what you just said is something that we covered in the first episode. Is how the way that the human brain works. So, like the primordial brain or the lizard brain, right? It has its functions and it has the 4 Fs. And this is man, I don't want to do a callback to a joke because I feel like once the joke is gone, it's gone. I still can't get the damn thing out of my head. So the guy who conducted the research by analyzing and by doing surveys and by looking at certain inmates and prisons and in institutions, his name was Dr. Cash. And and I just that was his name, was Dr. Cash. And either I expect him to be walking in with like a robe, like he's Ric Flair, like, woo, I'm the kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, Rolex wearing, and he's wearing the gator shoes, and I'm having a hard time keeping these gators down, or he walks in with his guitar and it's like ring, and the patient is sitting there as he's like, hello there, my name is Doc.
being a patient, being sick, and seeing that. If your doctor walks in like that, like, just let me die. Like I'm done. I'm over it.
So you've been telling me that you've been having these pains going in your stomach. Well, let me tell you a little story about when I was a younger man and I had these type of things going on with me. Where ding 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 ding. When I was a younger man, I had these pains. They told me that it could be cancer. In your case, it is. So
The best way to find out.
that's the best way. Bring Richard Ramirez. You know,
Jeez.
we have a young man who hung a little girl. You know,
Stop it.
because you're sick. You crossed the line. So anyway, so this guy talked about how we have. He called it the 4Fs. The 4Fs that are, and it's. I swear, these are his words, not mine. Okay. He talks about the primordial lizard brain only has instinctually 4 things. The 4Fs. He calls it the fighting, the fleeing, the feeding, and the fucking.
You made the last one.
No, I did not. I said look at the DSM-5 and then look at the primordial. Those are literally the 4Fs that Dr. Cash decided to add to his book. So this guy, you know, so he was talking about how an individual had these functions, right? And they all balance each other because they have to be perfectly balanced for you to be functional. When one of those things is either elevated or removed, everything just, you know, you lose your impulse control. So you're directed by the other things with a point where you can't control your impulses. So the fighting, either you're like very aggressive, you flee, you can't stay in certain situations because your instinct causes you to run. You know, you see those people with these mental illnesses all the time. They're always running like crackheads, you know, for no reason because they had like this deep fear that they can't control. And then you have the fucking, and you have all these things. So when
you made up.
No, I didn't make it. I swear to you, I didn't make it up. So when you have this this balance that is, you know, it's unbalanced, you lack the impulse control. So you're gonna do those things without control, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the lizard brain in the male. The lizard brain in the female is you're supposed to have a healthy balance of all those things, right? Can this person protect me? Can this person, you know, provide? Can this person, you know, get us where we need to go? Can this person reproduce? What happens when that is out of whack? And then they don't, and I used this in the last episode. I should stop referring to it and just say it. So imagine if you were on a date, right, with an individual. This guy took you, he wined you, he dined you, he took you to the world, you know, to the town's best Taco Bell, and you know, he didn't skimp out. He got you the gordita. He got you the works. Get the churros too, you know?
Yeah.
My treat. And then the woman's like, you know what? Like, yeah, this is the guy for me. And you're outside. All of a sudden, here comes these 80s bullies. Hey, dweeb, what do you think you're doing there, twerp? You know? Hey, look at that lady. Looking mighty fine. And he's doing all these things. And she gets really uncomfortable. And instead of being confrontational, being like, hey, leave the lady alone, she's with me, the guy just slinks away and he like doesn't do anything. Immediately, we live in a culture now where it's not polite to say these kind of things, but it's in the head. You're like, this guy is a bitch, you know? And it's disgusting. Like it repulses women. And women may pretend like it doesn't bother them. Like, I don't need, but it's there.
Repulse is a strong word for that.
What?
Repulse? Repulses them?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, maybe some. I don't know.
Okay. You're on a date with a man,
mm-hmm.
right? Somebody is saying something like, "Hey, toots, you know, nice lips. I would like to feed," you know, and he's like saying disgusting things to you. And the guy that you're with, right? He's kind of like, I don't want to have any issues, fellas, and he walks away and he leaves you there with him.
Yeah.
What is your thought? Like, well, as soon as I get home, I'm gonna have this man over.
Okay, first, in the first situation, you didn't say he just left her there. Now you're saying he's just abandoning me with all these perverts. That's different.
I said slink away.
No, I thought you meant just like, go off to the side. Like, not like
no,
run.
He slinks away. He slinks away. So if a guy says like, hey, she's with me, and then the guys are like, oh, okay, hey man, we want no issues. You get that little bit of feeling inside. You're like, damn, okay. And then you know what? One thing leads to another. You go home, you kind of razzle and that, and then stuff happens, right?
Okay. Razzle dazzle, yeah.
So, your camera's a little low, or you're too far away. You're kind of beginning to get a little bit blurred there. Can you get a little bit closer? Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of close. Maybe it's just my lighting.
Maybe. So, anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that's a healthy balance. If the guy, you go outside and you're eating, you're done eating Taco Bell, and you go outside. What? Yeah, it's better. So you're eating Taco Bell, you go outside, and there's these individuals, and they're there, and then he runs up to them and attacks them. You'll be alarmed. You'll be like, this guy is unhinged. Am I next? What's going on? That's a healthy balance in your brain and your brain chemistry. So what balances a person out, now with the female, they don't have that balance. Well, okay, I was just going back to that. That's what I was talking about. So anyway, so when you get somebody like Richard Ramirez and he lacks impulse control and he's doing these horrific things, this woman is also unbalanced herself. So she looks at something that's atrocious and she begins to kind of like look past it and kind of see like, this guy can be a good provider. This guy can be a good father figure, completely ignoring the horrific shit this guy did. Because again, there's an unbalance there in the brain.
You have to be, there has to be something wrong for you to think that a serial killer is going to be a good partner or father for your child.
Yeah. Not even that. The fact that this guy's around and his own, the fact this guy exists, like that doesn't repel you.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So this same guy, well, there's also a French professor who I don't remember his name. Let's call him.
Oh boy.
What should we call him? Let's call him Dr. Omelette du Fromage.
Okay, perfect.
So Dr. Omelette du Fromage. This guy. Are you okay?
Yeah, I just thought.
No, I don't know. So Mr. Omelette du Fromage, right? He was talking about how he observes human behavior, and a lot of people think that serial killers are made. Like this kid was beaten every day by his parents, and because he was beaten every day by that, morphed him into a serial. When in reality, his studies show that you have to be unmade into a serial killer, like these traits. So, like a child, like human beings are naturally violent. You have to train a kid to not hit. You have to train a kid to not bite. You have to train a kid to not scream when he wants something. You're like, dude, you need to get control. Control yourself. This is not how. Use your words. Use your this. So you're civilizing them. So the way that he was talking about was that in human evolution, the toddler or the small child that is hitting it is all those things. That behavior was believed to be exhibited by Cro-Magnus or Cro-Magnon and Homo erectus. Guys, take it easy. Homo erectus and Homo neanderthalis, the Neanderthal, right? Mm-hmm. That this was their behavior, is that they were very violent. They needed something, they took it. You look at certain evidence that was left there. These people met very violent deaths, and they could see like this was their whole thing. So it's like society has to civilize you and unmake you into a serial killer. When you come from that's why a lot of these serial killers, it takes one small thing to, they're already unbalanced. Okay, they can have a good childhood, and one small thing can unbalance them, and they begin to do horrific things. Just like the man that we talked about him last, but let's use for an example. Let's use Jeffrey Dahmer. So Jeffrey Dahmer, what was his thing? What did he say? He lived in a good home. His parents ignored him.
Yeah, he felt abandoned by everybody. He was like, I mean, he was neglected, I guess. Like, they I don't think they were so much like bad parents. I think it's just that they didn't really pay attention as much as I guess they should have. No excuse at all for what he did.
What do you do with kids? Like, here's an iPad. Leave me alone, and then the kid's sitting with an iPad. It's the same thing. The difference is that there's that unbalance is not there. Well, you never know, but that unbalance is it's there, and then when something like that happens, boom, it triggers, and now this individual is committing these crimes.
Since he was a kid though, like he would pick up roadkill and stuff, and like his dad would help him, and I don't know if it was anything like specific, if it was a specific thing that kind of triggered everything to start, or if it was just the way he was living his whole life that kind of got him interested or desensitized, I guess, to like smaller things, and then he just kind of scaled up until he got to humans.
Yeah, and damn it, he was just like an odd dude, and the actor that played him in a Netflix series looks worse than the real Jeffrey Dahmer. Like that actor, if I seen him, and let's say that he became like a famous tennis player, right? And he's like, oh, he's a famous tennis player. And I'm like, who am I going to get to look like him? But also, let's make him not look as shitty because we have to make him look a little bit better. Yeah, get Jeffrey Dahmer to play him. Jeffrey Dahmer, put down the drill. Just
stop.
Play the role. You're gonna wear this wig, and it's gonna be silver, and you're gonna run really fast. Kind of like when you ran after that little Filipino boy that you were trying to kill and eat, and the cops sent him back to your apartment.
Yeah. Sorry, just a little drunk.
He's just a little drunk.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
To be those cops.
Yeah. Get back in that apartment. Yeah, fruitcake. What are you doing? I'm telling you, these guys are crazy. They're going wild.
Well, there was women that were trying to be like, hey, there's something wrong. And they're like, no, it's legal.
Yeah. Move it along. It's Officer Barb Brady. All right, people, there's nothing to see here.
God, they have such weird voices in Milwaukee.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So, and whenever I think of a bad cop, they're always that, bad 80s movie cop. Like, all right, let's book him, Dano. Anyway, so yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer, we'll cover him at some other day. But who was the next lady killer? Ooh, like, all right, contestant, yeah. Contestant number 2. What is he, like the ladies asking the questions. Contestant number 2, what are your accomplishments and what have you done with your life?
Well, Ted Bundy killed a lot of them. That's what he did. So he didn't. I don't know if he did much. Like, I don't think he finished school or anything, did he? He was.
No, he was a dumbass.
Killing before he started.
He's like me.
I don't know. Yeah.
Only I don't kill people. I just
you don't kill people.
Fucking finish school. Hey, you want to check? hey, you want to check out my basement? Hop into my Volkswagen. So yeah, and this guy,
Tiny little
so
car.
yeah, his little fucking Nazi vehicle. Um, what? It was a Volkswagen. It was designed by Hitler himself. It's
I don't
going
know
to
how
be great.
How do you pick up
It's
what
going to look like a bug. We're going to play fun game when you have these design. You see it, you punch your friend. You know.
Is that him? That's how he talked.
I guess I don't even know what the hell I was going for. It kind of sounded more like the guy at the 7-Eleven that has also been like up all night doing cocaine and hanging out with hookers. You know. Anyway, I got to get down more early. You know. So yeah. So the next guy, you know, Ted Bundy, he was a guy that, you know, seemed he man. So he was interesting because of the crimes that he got. He killed a lot of women. It was like 30.
Yeah, that he confessed to.
Yeah,
It
he
could
didn't
be
give a
more.
shit.
No,
Yeah, but yeah, there could be more underage. A lot of them underage girls.
a lot of them underage. Yep, there was 5 for sure, 3 suspected. 2 of the 5 that he killed were 12.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
He rented a house in Utah, and he was like,
Wow.
yeah, and then they found bodies underneath that damn house. So insane.
Had to put him somewhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, well, you can't rent a house now, and I can't put
Not
bodies on. I
everybody
thought this was
has,
America.
not everybody that has access to gallons and gallons of acid like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were gonna say Walter White. I don't know why you're breaking me into this.
And almost the same.
Yeah, same guy. Stupid. So yeah, with Bundy, it was crazy because, you know, he seemed like he was under control until he had like these manic moments of rage and just, you know what I mean? Like, so he seemed like a very controlled guy. He went to court, you know, he's kind of like smiling with a stupid unibrow and a stupid smile, you know. And people said that he was so handsome. People were like, "Oh, Ted Bundy, yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer, yeah, yeah, Ted Bundy,
Him too. People thought
Je-
that as well.
yeah, well, Jeffrey Dahmer, he's like Ellen DeGeneres with AIDS. What? So with Ted Bundy, they were like, "Oh, he was so handsome and blah 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 and all this kind of shit. He was so charming." But then you watch footage of him and you look, and even these people that were saying he was handsome kind of look back and they're like, "Ooh, what the hell?"
Yeah, no. He's not. Also, he's. I saw a video of him recently, like when they were reading something, and he was like standing there next to this guy, and like he just seems so annoying. Like he just kept interrupting. I'm like, how do you, like, you're a serial killer and you're annoying? Like you can't be both.
Yeah, it's the worst combination.
Like you can't do both.
Yeah, I guess people just have like this fantasy where like this guy kills people and he's gonna show up and he'll be like, let me tell you one of the things that I like. Like he has wisdom that you don't know.
Yeah.
And then he's like, a lot of the times when you look into a mirror, the mirror is actually looking at you, not the only way around. You just interpret what you see, not what it tells you. And he walks away and you're like, wow, that guy kills people, but he's so philosophical. Instead, you get this raging, Ted Bundy. It was the porn, the violent porn.
But
you
the
know
women, they liked him.
The women like it. You know who Ted? You know who? You know who he reminded me of?
Who?
Remember when Mel Gibson was when Mel Gibson's wife was leaving him, and then he left all those voicemails in on her thing, and he's like, "You're over there," and he had. That's a really good comparison, actually. Now that I think about it, if you listen to his voicemails, they're on YouTube. I think you can find them. He was like, "You are so ungrateful. What you need to do is you need to come over here and just blow me." And he's screaming. I hope so. Screaming at the top of his lungs, and then he gets really quiet, and he's like, but I will give you one more chance. You know, and that's what like Ted Bundy was like. He was like in court. He's like, I would like to represent myself. They're like, what are you doing, Ted Bundy? You're a dumbass.
And
He's
then
like,
the
I'm gonna
crowd
represent
cheered.
the crowd cheer.
All the ladies,
Get out, Bundy.
yeah,
You know, and
all
he's
the
like,
ladies in the crowd. You had to
yeah,
control it.
over there. Yeah,
It's gross.
it's insane because yeah. So he confesses to the murders. His last day, you know, before he was executed, you know, he gives that I think it was with 2020. He gave this interview and he's like, I deserve to be here for what I did. He says I was possessed by rage and these entities entered my body and they wouldn't leave me alone until I committed these crimes. It all started off with pornography and with violent pornography. And he was going on about how you know, all these things. And a lot of people are like, oh man, Ted Bundy, he's full of shit until doctors look back at what he was saying and are like, he's right. He he fried his brain. There was already something wrong with him, right?
Yeah.
There was already something wrong with him, but he fried his dopamine inhibitors with violent pornography to the point where he could no longer get endorphins or dopamine unless he was doing something extreme. And in his case, that extreme act was murder, you know, and and
Like you
and
couldn't
this is
just pick something that was like, you know, one level down.
well, no, I mean he was completely like whacked out. He said that he started off with this, and then he started looking at more violent stuff, and then more and more extreme to the point where he couldn't feel happy anymore or even get an erection unless he killed someone. And then that gave him the rush of dopamine, which is why you also see the time span as he goes, and you see the crimes become more and more violent. A lot of people were saying things like he wanted to get caught, which is why they got sloppier and sloppier, and it wasn't that. I like to believe, yeah, like I was a detective, like with the pipe and everything. Look at these crimes. You know? It looked like they just got more and more extreme as he was losing more and more control. You know, the
It's supposed
shoelace.
to be exhausting.
Well,
Like,
yeah, and I have a quick story because we got to end the show pretty quick here. So this these couple of girls, um, the mom of a friend of mine was talking about that, said that back in her college days, back in Utah, her and her friend were in college, and this guy pulls up in his stupid Volkswagen. And then he's like, hey, you girls want to hang out? You girls want to party? And she was like, no, like, yeah, I guess we can go party, you know? And the friend's like, this guy's weird. Like, I don't want to, you know, he's ugly and he's weird. And she's like, well, he looks just like a regular guy. You know, what are we going to do? We're going to be bored. We're going to go home. We're going to do what? Dance to the radio. We're going to be bored. You know, this is something to do. And her friend was like, no, this shit feels weird. Let's just go. Let's just go. And let's just get out of here. You know, and she's like, yeah, but what? So finally, her friend convinced her and she's like, no thanks. We're just going to pass or whatever. So she says that then later, like a month or a couple of days, that I forget. It was one of those things. She saw his face in the paper that this guy was picking up girls in his vehicle and he was murdering them. You know, and she's like, yeah. And so he told the story about how he would try to convince girls with drugs or with alcohol. When that stopped working, he did the cast. Like, excuse me, can you help me? And he had the cast on and everything, and in his
pick up his
stupid Bundy
groceries.
mobile. Yeah, with his groceries. Oh, I dropped my oranges, you know, and like, can you help me? I got this massive 2 casts on my arm and I can't, you know, maneuver. Yeah. And no one thought, how the hell are you driving? No one thought that. They're like, oh, this poor man, he's got to drive home and he's got these groceries.
He could drive home in a full body cast. Let me help him with his orange.
In a full body cast, and he's like this, you know.
It's a heart enough life already.
Yeah, exactly. He moves like Robert De Niro now, you know. Oh, so anyway, so yeah, to this guy. So all right, whatever. He goes to prison. Then these girls start going nuts. These fans, they're saying he was innocent. He didn't mean to do it.
One of
Um,
them said he doesn't look like the type of guy. Just doesn't
yeah,
look
like he
like
looks like a
the kind of
nice.
guy that would do that.
No, he's a nice man. Look at him. Look at that nice smile. He's got the stupid unibrow. Like he's the guy at the swap meet that's trying to convince you that the cologne that stinks smells good and you should buy it. My friend, buy this cologne. Look, it smells good. I wear this. 5 women throw themselves at me all the time. You could become serial killer, and if you're wearing this cologne, the women will not care. They just want you because of the cologne. That's
That
what he
would have
looks
been
like.
his favorite cologne.
Yeah, that's why he drinks it, and then he sweats.
Sweat
So
on purpose.
yeah, he sweats, stinks cologne. So yeah, so these women, were just lining up, and then you have to really think about, like what's more disgusting? Is it the person that committed these crimes? Obviously, the person that committed the crimes, or the person that knows everything he did. You can use the argument like this person was in a blind rate. He's insane. He doesn't know what he's doing. Blah blah. Whatever the fuck excuse you want to use, which is
Ew.
bullshit. And then you have the woman that's defending him, not caring about the crimes. Fucking crime scenes are awful. The crime scenes,
She saw
some of
them.
them look, yeah, they're fucking horrible.
'Cause he got married while he was
Yeah,
jail.
yeah,
Or he was at court because they just said it out loud. And in Florida, I think it counts. If you just say it while you're in court, then you're married.
yeah.
I don't know if it's like that anymore.
I'm married, and they're like, well, they're married now. It's like
Yeah.
that's how I had my wedding at the trailer park. And it's like, I just shouted it in a drunken. Yeah, that girl that's passed out on the floor, I'm gonna marry her right now.
Yeah,
So yeah, so so he gets married. He gets a chick pregnant,
yeah, in jail.
and then in jail, and then you have a kid that is growing up, and it's like, who his dad is. Oh, who's his dad? Is it a famous person? Yeah.
Her
Who's his
dad.
dad? Is it? Oh, geez. I thought it was a dad. She looks just like him.
It's a girl.
Oh boy, that's even grosser. You know who her dad is? You know who her dad is? Ooh, who's her dad? Ted Bundy. Oh, I used to love that show. Married with Children? No, not Ed Bundy. Ted Bundy. And then what is that kid gonna go through life? Like that's.
I wouldn't tell anybody.
No, or that person could be like off too because of those genes. First of all, you have somebody that bred with them, and then you have the person that, yeah, that's one hell of a gene pool. And so, Doctor,
not have friends. Like, you think people would just like not want to be your friend because
well, unless like they're psycho,
crazy.
Unless she like likes girls and those psycho girls are like, oh, maybe I'll get murdered next, and like, please date me,
The ones
the
that read
TikTok trend. Yeah, TikTok trend, like today's challenge is get murdered. So Dr. Omelette du Fromage and Dr. Cash was saying that studying human behavior and doing a survey, he realized that a majority, 6 out of 10 people, are psychopaths. And they're saying that they're literal psychopaths. The difference is that a majority of the people have impulse control. So while you're driving, your vehicle, and somebody cuts you off and you're like, I wish I could just run this person over, when he gets out of the car in the parking lot and you see him and you just like flip him the bird, or you're like, hey, you voted for Hillary Clinton or something, and then that's the extent of it. That's the impulse control, right? Or you just mutter to yourself quietly, like, I stand person. But if you don't have that, you run that person over. That's the difference. Is the impulse control versus not having it. Mm-hmm. So if you've ever had an angry thought where you thought something violent, like you're psychotic. Only difference is you have a lid on it. And yeah, and that's the end of this episode. So
jeez, I feel like we talked about so much more the first time.
Well, I know we had this whole thing. It was insane. We talked about, you know, we told the story of this guy who I could tell the story now without ruining it. So I probably end up doing it. So this guy picks up this hitchhiker, right? Where are you going? Oh, I'm headed a couple cities over. He said, whatever. So he says, but I don't have a place to stay. Can I stay with you for the night? I'll be gone in the morning. I have it all figured out. Let me just go, whatever. So the guy's like, sure, just, he's like, I'll sleep on your couch. I'll sleep on the floor. I'll be gone in the morning. The guy's like, sure, whatever. So he picks this guy up and then he takes him to his apartment, and he's sitting there and he's getting ready to go to bed or whatever. And then he's sitting on the couch and he has a backpack with him. And he's like, I was going to drink this with my buddy, but my buddy didn't show up tonight. He was delayed. So do you want to have this with me? And the guy's like, sure. And he hands him the beverage, the beer, whatever it is. And he starts drinking it. All of a sudden, he said that he could no longer feel his arms or his legs. And he's now just like on the couch and his head is sideways, he says, and he's trying so hard. He's fighting to open his eyes. And this guy just gets he stands up, he gets a rope out of his backpack, and he's like, I've done this before. You're not going to feel a thing. It's going to be quick, and he's walking over to him, and then he stops. And then he's like, whoa. He stops. He's like, okay, hey.
Like not being able to do anything, and you're just watching this person walk towards you. Like, don't worry about it. I've done it before. You'll be fine.
Yeah, well, yeah, and these were his quotes. He's like, "Hey, don't worry, I've done this before. It'll be over quick." Walking towards him with a rope. So he stops and he starts backing up, and the guy has a dog, and this guy's afraid of dogs. He's like, "Oh shit!" And he's like, "Hey, it's okay. I'm just gonna get out of here. Like, don't say anything as if the guy's gonna be like, Guntas, and the dog's gonna go and like bite off his nuts." But he's like, I'm just gonna get out of here, and he gets out of the apartment and he runs off. And then he says that he saw this guy all over the news and on the paper. The guy that he gave a ride to and took back to his house was Jeffrey Dahmer.
And Jeffrey Dahmer did that to a hitchhiker.
Drugged him.
Yeah. He took him back. Okay, so he took one back to his house, like, oh, let's go drink or whatever. And the guy was like, yeah, I'm going to take off. I think it was like after like a day or two. And he didn't want him to leave. And he smashed his head. Like, it's not funny, obviously, right? Yeah.
It's not. You're sick.
Yeah, well, he smashed his head in with like a dumbbell or something. And he was like, I don't want you to leave me. So he made him stay.
Yeah. Made him stay, literally drilled holes in people's heads and poured sulfuric acid.
Yep.
That's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Jeez. But damn, let's call this episode. Let's just call it. This is a great episode. Thank you guys for joining us. I, of course, was Deacon, and just thank you for our special guest host here, Laura. I didn't even know what to call you, Laura Slasher, Laura Slaughter.
I think Laura every time Dahmer. You said it has been different. Oh, not that one. Stop it.
Oh, what? Anyway, so yeah, guys, check out the merch. Links in the description. I probably won't put it. But it's there. It probably won't be, but I'm gonna say it. Check out the merch. It sucks. I mean, share this episode, like and subscribe. If you know somebody that is currently a pen pal with a horrific serial killer, send them the show. Send them this episode. Just kind of, yeah. Be like, hey, at least you're not these people. So, anyways, thank you for being on today's show. And remember, guys, to always look both ways, especially if you find yourselves on Nightmare Road.